want to welcome you on board. Let's give about 3 minutes for others to come on board. I want to believe you can see my screen. Favor, if you can see my screen, that's the Visual Studio Code on my web browser. You can just drop a chat message before others come on board today's lecture. I'll quickly go over what we did last week. My screen is open, and basically what we have there is the code from last week. We basically created a HTML document, gave it a header, added the font awesome link to it that allowed us to pull out an icon stored over the cloud on font awesome like website or server. We created a title and gave it welcome to Seed Media. That's up here. That's the title. And that's stored between the header. And I stated earlier in previous tutorials that the header contains the non-visual section of the website. And within the body elements, we created a header, 2 divs, and 1 div wraps around the second div that is called with the class of Navbar and ID of Navbar. And the div with class of Navbar and ID of Navbar houses the font awesome icon and the text CG. I think we should put that together. It's better. So, okay, so I said we in the body section of the HTML document, we have a header and 2 divs. The header was given a class of main, just a general class to tell us that that's the main header of the website, and a class of cover for the first div, as it's going to wrap around the other divs that are going to be housed within the class. And then we have a class of Navbar. The Navbar contains the logo and a text that says Seed Gym. So that's basically what we did last week. So we're going to go back to coding and a little bit of explanation. Most of the work we're actually going to do on this website is going to involve a lot of repetitive coding. And the changes you're going to see is going to be involved when we handle, sorry, let me adjust my mic a little bit. And the changes you're going to see is when we handle the CSS section of the website. So we have a Seed Media over here, Seed Gym over here. And if you remember, when we drew out what the website was supposed to look like in draw.io, I want to believe you have a copy of that, or you can view it on the previous lecture. I currently don't have a copy out here with me. We said we're going to have our nav bar to the right. That's the links that's on the website to the right, and we're going to have the logo to the left. And the links are going to be pushed a little bit to the center of the menu bar there. And we're going to have to the further right a link, a text that says call with a phone number. So let's create that. So under the H1 tag, we're going to have another div that's going to say nav right. And this is basically the link that's going to be pushed to the right. And within the nav right, we're going to have a nav element. And the nav element is something like the header element. It's used to describe navigations. That's basically just what it is. It's HTML5 way of telling us that what we have within this bracket, within these elements, are the navigation links. That's basically what they do. And we're going to create an unordered list. Remember, we created an unordered list earlier. I showed you what it looked like. We're going to create an unordered list, and the unordered list is going to have 3 list items. LI stands for list items, and they're basically the children of the unordered list. Okay, let's clean that out. So we're going to have 3 list items. Let me duplicate this. And within the 3 list items, we're going to have a link tag, a href element that's going to serve as a link. The href element has the href element has an attribute called href, and this basically tells us that this link is going, the direction at which this link is going to be going to, or the URL that this link is going to be pointing to. So we're going to have let's leave that blank for now and just give it a title of home. And let's clone that. Okay, we already did that. So let's create another href element and give it equipment. So these are the 3 menus we're going to have on the website. And let's give it contact us. Save it, and you can see. So if I was to click on this, now it's not going to do anything because the href element has not been given the destination. If we put google.com over here and save it, and I right click and say open a new tab, so it tries to go to google.com. And see that, yeah, it tries to go to google.com, even though it's actually linking with the local host. That's why it's giving an error. But that's basically what the href element is supposed to, the href attributes of the a tag element is supposed to do. Okay, so okay, that's basically all we need within the nav icon. Okay, I forgot to point something out to you. When you're writing code, it's always necessary to put comments. And in HTML, comments are created using less than symbol, an exclamation mark, two dashes, space, two dashes, followed by a greater than symbol. And everything we type in here is not HTML code. It's basically a description of what the HTML code is supposed to do. So we can write navbar, navigation starts here. And we can come under here and write navigation ends. Yeah. So someone just coming into this website will see it and okay, this is where the navigation starts and this is where the navigation ends. And we can come up here and put logo starts. I will put under here logo ends. Don't over comment your work. It doesn't make it actually, it doesn't make it look very dirty. That's basically what comments are. And if you were to right click, comments are not executed when the website executes. But if you were to right click, you're going to see it in the HTML section of the website. Right click and click on source, view source. You can see logo starts here, logo ends here. And I'm saying navigation ends, and navigation starts. I can see another one here, say code injected by live server. This was injected by the server that we're using to run our HTML documents. So right, our website is starting to take shape. It still looks very ugly, but basically starting to take shape. So under the navigation, under the nav bar, we're going to put a span element, and that's what we're going to give it a class of, let's call it colors, describe basically what it's supposed to do. I'm going to put a phone number, let's say 0802. Just fill it up with zeros. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. See, it's down here. Okay, what next? Okay, we're going to need. Okay, let's have another div element outside this entire div element. It's the nav. This is the nav bar element. Let's put a comment here. So you know nav bar general div nav div. Okay, let's call it nav div, and come over here and end it and say nav div ends. Yeah, something like that. I think we're good to go with that. Okay, and we're basically just typing out codes. It's the same codes you've already known. If it's looking a little bit complex to you, we're basically just typing out codes. We're just structuring the website how we think it should look like. So let's create another div element. Let's call this info. We have another div with a class of info. And within this div, we're going to have a h1. It's going to say get that perfect body. Remember when we were designing this using draw.io, when we were giving a rough sketch of what we expected to have, we created a section that says, when you come in, please kindly mute your mic. Yeah, mute for all. We created a section that says where we're going to have an image and it's going to have a text that says get that perfect body. So we're going to put that in the H1, the most prominent of the headers. It's going to be that's the largest form of header. That's the largest form of header. Then under that, we're going to have a paragraph tag, a paragraph element that says, that's basically just a description. It says we are here for you. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Yeah, let's look at it. Yeah, so that's it. HTML. So the HTML actually looks very dirty and ugly. So it's basically that's why we need CSS. CSS is supposed to help create that beautiful visual look of our HTML documents. Then what again do we need? I think we are done. I can't remember any other thing being within the tag. So we are done with the header. We're done with the header, the main header. So let's say header starts. I will go over here and put it and say the header ends here. Ends there. So the next thing we need to do is we'll move on to the equipment section of the website, and we're going to have another div that says equipment. And this is going to hold this section of the website is going to hold It's going to show the equipment that the gym currently has. You know, we could have easily just used the section. I would have asked that as a question. What's the alternative? What we would have used to create this section of the website? We could have just used the section to define it. That's what defining the equipment section, and it's going to work as well as the div. Well, let's make use of it since I already have that out. Equipment stats. And I'll put another one here that says equipment ends. Okay, then we're going to have what else? What are we going to have? We're going to have a header. Let's give the equipment a header and give it an ID. I mean, I'm using the ID and class interchangeably, depending on if the element is not going to be referenced by more than one, if more than one element is not going to share that same style, I'll use an ID. But if it's going to be unique to that element, or it's preferable we use a class, but you can end up using whichever one you want. But as long as the ID is kept unique to a specific element, but for the class, you can use it even if an element is not going to be shared by any other element. Let's call this equipment. Okay, let's give it a H4, not H4. Okay, let's give it a H4. Remember, we'll be using the H1 tag since that's the most prominent tag. So we want this text to be a little bit smaller. So we're using the H1 and say what we have to offer. That's what's going to be written in that text. And under it, we're going to have another text that says the H2 text is going to be bigger, and it's all going to be in uppercase characters. And we're going to say equipment. We save it, and yeah, that's what we have. What we have for you. Everything is looking all jam-packed all together, but by the time we start adding the CSS, it's going to look. Let's put another paragraph that gives a description. So get the best gym equipment and services in the world. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good to go with that. Then under the header within the equipment div, we're going to have another div that's going to be images, where we're going to place all the equipment images. And within that div, we're going to have another div. We're going to have 4 divs. It's going to say single image. This div is now responsible for housing the individual images that's going to be shown on the web page. And we're going to have 4 of that. And within each of these divs, we're going to keep 4 images. Let's create an image tag with a source. Okay, image tag with a source. Yes, I think, okay, let me just type it out. Image, we have source equal to, this is going to be the location of the image. Then alt is the alternate text of the image if the image can't be found. That's what's going to be shown. And let's create 2 of that here. Copy that out, copy this out, paste it here. No, paste it here, paste it here, and save. If we were to put something, let's say sample image, and save, sample image is going to show. You can see the sample image is showing because there is no source, there's no image that's currently tied to this image tag. So basically, the alt means alternative. It's an alternative tag that's going to be shown when the image that is expected to be shown within the image tag is not present. That's why we have something. You can leave that. So by the time we have an image linked directly to the image tag, we'll have the images shown there clearly. Okay, I think it's a little bit, it's getting a little bit complex for now. So let's pause or mute the mics. If there's no question, then I'll go ahead. But if we have questions, then I will tackle those questions before we move ahead. I think you can unmute your mic if you have any question and ask. Just 10 minutes or 5 minutes so that if there's no question, we'll move ahead. Any question? Any question? Everybody's following along. Okay, seems everyone is following along. Okay, so we can keep going. That's beautiful. Okay, no question. All right, I'll be muting the mics back. All right, so we'll go along. So okay, now so the next stage of our website is that we need to add our images to it. So if within the folder, I'm going to open the Explorer panel back. Within the folder, I have a couple of images that I stored within a folder called equipment. Now the equipment folder is within the websites folder, and I have 4 images over here that we're going to make use of. You can see the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. Their sizes are quite similar, but we're going to use CSS to adjust them to fit the same size. And I'm going to attach a link. I got, so and if you're doing web design, you can actually get royalty-free images from pixarbay.com. You can search for royalty-free images and get them and use them for your website. Always make sure that the images or soundtracks or videos you put on your website are either premium images, that means you paid for them, or they are royalty-free images. Don't steal anyone's image and put on your website. They're going to take it down. They will report your website to your host. They will report your website to Google. Your website is going to do poorly. Even if they don't take your server down, your website is not going to rank top, because if people keep reporting your website because of stolen images, stolen videos, and all that, it's never going to come up to the top. It's going to be hard for it to come up to the top. So the best, and there are thousands and hundreds of free images you can make use of. And if you're going to need to make use of sounds, they are also royalty free sounds, but they're not as much as images. You can always pay for sounds and make use of them. So now, when working with the image tag, okay, we want to link to the first one, which is in 1.jpg. So in the source attributes of the image tag, we're going to say /equip, which is the folder where it's stored, and the name of the image and the extension. We save that, and you can see the image is already located down here. You can see that, right? Okay, we're going to do the same thing, /equip, and 2.jpg. Save that, and the second image is shown up here. You can see the images are quite large. They're practically taking over the entire space. So let's just clone that and change the numbers that are in front of it. Let's have 3 and 4 here. We're going to repeat the images across the website. Okay, just alternate the numbers, and let's make use of okay, let's give 1 and 2 here, and have 3 and 4 here again. That way the images will necessarily meet up with each other when they are arranged parallel to each other. Okay, yeah, so we have our images shown. Pretty ugly, and they're taking up the entire space. The website doesn't seem to have any. Let me expand that so you can see that. That's what we have. All our images shown. I guarantee it's very ugly, but it gets better over time. Okay, so now we have that done. I think we are done with the equipment section. We're going to move on to the next section, which is the contact us section. Remember, I told you that we're going to have contact us section. You can place it within a div as well. And another, let's put it within another div. Let's call this, okay, let's say contact us. And us ends. Yes, that's it. Okay, so let's call that. We're designing the contact us. Let's make use of a section. We'll probably change the other ones to section later, just to maintain HTML5 standards, and put a div with an ID of contact us. And within that, so we're going to have, okay, let's give a class of contact, and another one of contact image. Right, so I think we're still on point, and let's put another image tag in there. This one is going to house the image that's going to be shown on the contact us page. Okay, we have another image here, this image that says contact us. This is the email we're going to use to, we're going to attach it to our contact us page, someone making a call. Let's close that. Let me close the left pane as well. So we're going to have, so we don't need to put we don't need to put any folder now. We can just have a /contact.jpg. Yeah, I think we're good to go. I'll give you an alternate text of contact us in case the image doesn't load. You can always have that. You scroll down, you're going to see our image. Okay, image isn't loading. Why? You can see the contact us at the bottom because the image isn't loading. Okay, it says contact.jpg. Let's spell that wrongly. Let me close this up and see. Why are you not loading? Oh, I had the source spelled wrong. It's SRC, not SCR. Yeah, so we have the contact image. What's next? Okay, we need a contact us form where our users are expected to fill in their details and send messages to us. So let's use a class contact. We're going to share that class and we have contact as form. That's going to be the difference between the both. They're both going to share the contact class, but this is going to have a unique class of contact image and this one's going to have a unique class of contact form. Okay, let's put a message, a class of message, and call it H1, put the H1 in there and say request callback. Save that. You can see request callback. Then the next thing we need to do is build a form. Okay, we get a form. We don't need to put any action because it's not going to be going anywhere. We're going to have how many divs do we need to just make it, let's make it simple. Let's have another class of form control. We're going to call this class form control. And when you're giving classes names, try your best to have names that relate to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. You get that's the easiest way to actually reference them when you're writing the CSS codes out. You get, if you're having abstract class names that have nothing to do with what you're trying to achieve, you're going to struggle to remember them. Probably when you even come back to the app and you're trying to decode and all that, and code, correct errors and all that, you're going to struggle to do that. For example, now we're in a form, and we have a div within the form, and the div is going to house the label and input elements. So we called it form control, something like that. And form control is actually, if you Google form control, it's a class that comes with a CSS framework called Bootstrap. So it's actually a very popular class name that is used when dealing with forms or input fields. So let's mimic the framework and call it form control. We're going to have a label. What's the first one? Name. Okay, it's going to be, let's say, name, and we're going to have an input text with name as name, and ID as name. Yeah, the four statements will be referencing this. Okay, let's duplicate that. Let's duplicate that. Someone is going off and on. Yeah, Sonia. Okay, so let's duplicate that, and we're going to have an email field. Email field. Let's give this email name. Let's call this email. Yeah. Duplicate that again, and we're going to have phone number. Give this phone number. Okay, let's call this phone number. Yeah. Okay, you can see our form is being created. Okay, then last but not the least, we're going to have another form control, and this is going to take a button, a link. It's going to take a href link. We're going to style this. What am I doing? We're going to style this. We're going to style this link. We're going to style this link to make it look like a button. It's actually a link. We're going to make it. We're going to use CSS to make it. When someone sees it, they will actually think it's a button we are making use of. And we're going to call this send info. Okay, and close it here. Save that. Okay, come on. What's wrong? What did I do wrong? Okay, I didn't close the opening tag. So you can see what the send info looks like. It looks like it's a link. If we were to use a button, this is what a button would look like. Button, well, not this input button. I want to type it all out. See, so we're going to start, and we're going to give, let's give this a value of submit and save it. So you see, this is what a button looks like. You see that? So we're going to style this link to look just like this. Yeah. We'll start it to look just like that. Okay, I think we're practically done with what we have to do with the what they call it, the HTML section. Okay, we need a footer. Yeah, I forgot that. We need a footer. So let's create a footer. Let's create a footer element. I don't want to send any message on the WhatsApp. Okay, one. Okay, so let's create a footer element. Body. Let's say footer start, and I will say footer ends. Yeah, we're good to go. So, okay, it's quite impressive. People are following along. And okay, so let's call this HTML5 also has a footer element that allows you to define the footer. We have a header, so definitely we're going to have a footer. Yes. So you can as well, if it's going to confuse you, you can as well do this using a div. You understand? And give it a class of let us give it a class of footer, right? And we're going to style it that way. So it doesn't really matter what you call it, footer, div, or whatever. You can also style it that way. Or you could probably want to use a section or something. I don't know why I want to use a section, but you're free to use a section. And let's give this a div. Let's give it icon. Let's get another icon, a div called icons. And we're going to store our font awesome icons in here. If I can remember clearly, I think we have let's see, I can't really remember. I think Facebook goes with FAB F dash, okay, FA dash Facebook. All right, dash F. Let's just try it out and see if it will work. Close and save. Okay, yeah, it works. Facebook. You can see the Facebook icon. Yeah, that's good. So let's duplicate this for. I think Instagram should be FA dash Instagram. If you have an F, there's no Facebook. Okay, worked. Yeah, YouTube definitely. I remember it. YouTube is just FA dash YouTube, and same with Twitter. Twitter, and then let's duplicate and add YouTube here. YouTube. Save. Yeah, it both work. So you can see we have the icons. These are the icons that are going to be at the bottom of the footer. And then outside the icon, we're going to have a copyright. And let's just say copyright. I think it's the ampersand copy 2020 seed video services. Save. That work? Yeah. So when you put the and copy together, it converts it to this copyright symbol. Yeah. Neat trick. Okay, so we are good to go. That's all. That's all we have. That's all we need for the entirety of this. That's all. That's HTML we need to build the website that you saw that was looking all good and all that. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be looking at the CSS styling. So pause the video now. Leave the mic open for questions, contributions. We need the scripts. Okay, we're going to need the script later on in the course. So let's just leave that open for now. But they're telling me we're running out of time. We have 8 minutes more. Okay, so let's unmute the mics, and if you have questions, feel free to go ahead. Today's class is going to end exactly by 9 o'clock. I have another event I need to be part of, so won't be able to drag